During the making of this video, the operators of various mines allowed the staging of certain conditions which may at first appear to be unsafe and not according to certain federal, state, and/or company safety procedures. These scenes were created strictly to demonstrate the differences between correct and incorrect safety and work procedures in the mining environment. They in no way are a true reflection of the condition or operation of the mine shown in this video production.
Hi, you're probably wondering why you're watching this video today instead of being out in the mine doing your job. That's an excellent question. MSHA requires, since you're not regularly or frequently exposed to mining hazards, that you receive mine-specific hazard training prior to being exposed to any of those mining hazards. In the next few minutes, in a continuation of our mine safety training video series, we will discuss many hazards which exist at most mines. We hope you have a safe, enjoyable training session.
Whether you're a visitor, vendor, contractor, or employee of a contractor, you're about to enter a mining operation where there are potential hazards that are a part of our business. You need to be aware of the hazards you might be exposed to. Knowing about these potential hazards will reduce the chances of your being hurt. After all, we all want to go home at the end of the day standing on our own 2 feet. And you also need to know about the hazards because it's the law, enforced by the Mine Safety and Health Administration. Hey, we can't show you every potential danger in the mining industry. That's where your common sense and good judgment will always be the difference between working safely and suffering a senseless injury. Well, let's get down to the business of identifying hazards and avoiding accidents and injuries. On other jobs off our property, you may not be used to wearing a hard hat and safety glasses with side shields. They can prevent some really severe accidents, so wear them. It's our policy. Appropriate safety shoes and shirts with sleeves are standard. You may be required to wear special equipment and approved protective clothing for the tasks you are performing. Disposable and non-disposable respirators may have to be worn. Hearing protection should be used where noise levels require it. Fall protection equipment will be used in appropriate areas. And remember, no rings. You don't want that ring catching on an object or piece of equipment and cutting off your finger. Those speed limit signs are just for the guys operating the heavy equipment, right? Not so fast. Those speed limit signs are for you in your vehicle and all others on mine property. Pay attention and obey the posted limits. If you're on foot, you need to be constantly looking for other vehicles. Large pieces of mobile equipment may be sharing the roadway or your work area. Think about it from the viewpoint of the equipment operator. Operators on large pieces of equipment may not be able to see or hear you clearly. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them the right of way, especially if they are fully loaded. In some cases, haul trucks and other mobile equipment may have left-hand side of the road traffic patterns. Look for these and drive on the left when instructed to do so. Always get an operator's attention before approaching any piece of mobile equipment. Signal, make eye contact, and then approach from the side. Recognize the sound of a backup alarm on mobile equipment and pay attention to the movement of the vehicle when you hear this sound. Don't put yourself between 2 pieces of mobile equipment or between a vehicle and another object, such as this crane in the front and fuel drum in the rear. There's always the chance the vehicle could move and that you could be crushed in this position. Powered haulage accidents are one of the leading causes of fatalities in the mining industry. So keep your distance and respect mobile equipment, like the pickup truck following this crane. As you drive or walk about the plant and the mine, you're going to see railroad tracks and rail crossings. Stop and look both ways before going across tracks. Look and listen for locomotives, and never try to beat a moving train. You could wind up being a big loser in this matchup. By the way, never cross over the drawhead of coupled cars. Go around instead. Drive with care, and remember, one of the greatest killers of American workers while they're on the job is car and truck accidents. You don't really want to drive through a washout that you can't see the bottom of, do you? There may be serious hidden hazards below the surface of water. If you can't see the bottom, then you can't see the hazard. As you travel, where are the ditches, and how deep do they appear to be? Give a wide area of clearance to a pond or water retention area. Don't just drive as close to the edge as possible, risking a rollover in the event of a cave-in of a wall or face. Sometimes when you're driving in these areas, visibility is poor. Always wear your seatbelt. It's the law and our policy. During reduced visibility, adverse weather, or changing road conditions, reduce your speed to adjust for conditions. Since we've just talked about traveling around water, realize there can be a lot of water around in the mining environment. If your work exposes you directly to the water and the hazard of drowning if you fall in, then you must always wear a personal flotation device. There are no exceptions. When walking in these areas, be careful of your footing on wet, slippery surfaces. Have you ever seen a drag line the size of this one? You really may not be familiar with the area needed for safe operation around drag lines and other earth-moving equipment. So the best thing to do is to stay outside the swing radius of all ground control equipment and never park a vehicle within this area. Always get the attention of the dragline operator and seek his permission before you mount or dismount from the dragline. While we're talking about climbing aboard, you always want to use the three-point system of contact. Both hands in one foot or both feet in one hand when getting on or off the dragline. Never jump up to the ladder or down off it, because you may suffer a strain or sprain you weren't counting on. Many pieces of equipment, such as drag lines, pumps, and processing equipment, are electrically powered. Unless you are specifically trained and contracted to work on this equipment, stay away from things like transformers, disconnects, and overhead power lines. No part of your vehicle or a load being carried may get closer than 10 feet to an energized overhead high-voltage power line. High voltage is any voltage over 650 volts. If you've got any doubts about the clearance, don't go under. If you have any doubt about whether the line is energized, treat it as if it is energized until you find out differently. You see that power cable running to that substation? It'll be okay to drive over it, right? Not a chance. Don't touch power cables, and never run over them with your vehicle or mobile equipment. It not only damages the cable, it's a violation of MSHA regulations. Mother Nature provides her own source of electrical energy in the form of lightning in the mining environment. Lightning is a killer. If lightning strikes within 2 miles of you, you need to take cover. Judge that 2 miles by counting the seconds between the flash of light and thunder. If it's less than 10 seconds, then take cover immediately. If you're working on, near, or inside equipment which could cause bodily injury by contact with electrically energized parts, accidental startup of machinery, release of system pressure, or contact with hazardous materials, such as this conveyor with head pulley and drive belts, then you must de-energize all electrical circuits, close valves, bleed off pressure, drain lines of vessels, and then place individually keyed safety locks with ID tags on all of the appropriate electrical disconnects, valves, and safety devices. You should then test all electrical switches or valves to ensure the equipment is non-operational before inspection or repair. Don't ever send another worker to perform your lockout for you. Do it yourself every time. If you have any questions about lockout procedures, then ask our supervisors immediately. Any of the equipment with moving parts that you must inspect or repair will have guards there to protect you. Never reach around them. When those guards are removed for repairs, after lockout has occurred, then inspections can occur, and those guards must be properly reinstalled before the equipment can be put back into operation. Be prepared for a fire that could start around equipment or other work areas. Know where the nearest appropriate fire extinguisher is and how to use it. You can take actions to prevent fires. First of all, obey all no smoking signs on property. Keep rags off equipment. Keep trash picked up. Remember, fires need fuel in order to start and burn. If someone is welding or cutting around flammable materials, then a fire watch is advised. Never look directly at a welding arc or cutting torch flame. Safeguard your vision by wearing the appropriate eye protection. Conveyors, pumps, sample cutters, valves. These types of equipment often start and stop or open and close automatically. Be ready. Sometimes these devices can make sudden and unusual sounds that can scare you. Stay clear. Never expose yourself to any of the hazards from operating equipment, especially conveyors. Never climb across a conveyor belt, even if it's not running. Confined spaces like tanks, silos, or bins will be present. Special hazards may occur. These hazards include not having adequate oxygen and/or exposure to poisonous gases that may be present. These spaces could also contain explosive fumes that could be set off. Never weld on a tank or cut a drum that you aren't sure is clear of explosive material. In all cases, prior to starting work of any kind in a confined space, that space must be evaluated to determine if atmospheric testing needs to be performed. If this is required, then a trained person shall perform the test and then issue a hazardous work permit to be signed by this person and all employees involved, and the permit is to be posted at the entrance to the confined space. Proper fall protection and other personal protective equipment must be worn by the person entering the confined space, and lifelines must be attached to the worker, with a standby worker tending the line ready to bring the worker out of the space if necessary. A common accident and fatal tragedy in the mining industry is workers who are suffocated and crushed by materials which break free and slide. Don't ever walk on product stockpiles, and don't undercut materials if you are running a machine. Never put yourself in a position of being engulfed or covered by materials. Stay a safe distance from high walls and spoil piles, and never go down into an excavation by yourself. Be particularly cautious in these areas during rainy and muddy conditions. If you are working in isolated areas far distances from the plant areas, then you are required to provide your own communications equipment and basic first aid kits. When you're in the plant and office areas, there are first aid kits and other safety products on site. Ask us for these if you should need them. We've learned today that there are hazards in the mining industry, but that accidents and injuries are completely avoidable if you follow all safety rules. If for any reason an accident does occur, then that accident should be immediately reported to a company representative at the mine. After reviewing hazards, safety rules, and accident prevention, we want you to know that we're proud of our safety record. A safe work environment is a top priority with our company. If you have any questions regarding rules and procedures, ask us first. We want your work here to be accident-free. With your safety awareness and proper decision-making, it can be. At the conclusion of this brief training session, don't forget to sign your MSHA training certificate and retain a copy for yourself. You might need to show that certificate upon request. Good luck and have a safe and productive day while at our mining operation.